Want to have more fun designing characters? Shoes are often overlooked, but they can tell you just as much about a character as the rest of the outfit. They're also much easier to design than you might think. I'll help you get started. The first step is getting familiar with the basic anatomy of the foot, but don't worry, you don't need to memorize every bone or muscle to start creating unique and interesting shoe designs. Understanding the basics is more than enough. I like to simplify the foot into 3 parts: the toes, the bridge, and the heel. These are the basic shapes you'll use when sketching out different poses. As the foot moves, these shapes change and overlap, so it's important to understand how they connect instead of thinking of the foot as one solid object. Looking up references and practicing different angles is the best way to get comfortable with these forms. Once you have the basic shape down, building shoes around it becomes much easier. Also, don't forget the difference between the left and right foot. If you look at the footprint, you'll notice that the arch sits on opposite sides, so be sure to mirror that when sketching your base shapes. The most important thing is to think of both the foot and the shoe as 3D objects. As we discussed earlier, the foot can be simplified into 3 main parts. The shoe then wraps around those forms and encloses the foot. Every part of the shoe, from the sole and sides to the tongue, laces, and smaller details, has its own thickness and follows the overall form. Keep asking yourself whether the foot could actually fit inside the shoe you're drawing. Now we can move on to the more fun part, building the shoe. Of course, the process depends on what kind of shoe you want to create, but you can always start with a basic form and then adjust each part to develop a specific style. The sole can dramatically change the appearance of a shoe. By making it thicker, you can create platform shoes or a chunkier silhouette. Personally, I really love chunky shoes because they add a lot of visual weight and can create a strong character design. Next, think about how the shoe stays attached to the foot. Consider whether it is secured with laces, straps, buckles, zippers, or if it is a boot that covers the foot and leg. The length of the shoe also affects its design. Is it a low shoe, an ankle boot, or something that reaches higher up the leg like a knee-high boot? If the shoe goes higher, remember that it needs to follow the shape of the ankle and calf. Open designs, like sandals, also have their own challenges because more of the foot remains visible. The way the shoe interacts with the foot is what makes the design feel believable. Then we have the details. This is where you can really start adding personality to the shoe. You can experiment with different lace designs, unique ways of securing the shoe, or add elements like belts, charms, buckles, and other decorations. The possibilities are endless, but always keep the overall style in mind. The details should support the design and the character, rather than overpowering the main shape of the shoe. Since we're already talking about different types of shoes, there are many variations, styles, and designs you can explore. The right choice depends on your art style, the character you are designing, and what kind of personality or story you want the outfit to communicate. Don't be afraid to mix features from different styles. Changing the sole, proportions, materials, or small design elements can create a completely different shoe while keeping the same basic construction. Just remember to have fun and experiment with different ideas. I wanted to create this pair of boots to show my workflow and the rendering process. First, I sketched out the position of the foot so I could build the shoe around it more easily. Then, I drew the basic shape of the shoe. I looked up some references for inspiration, but I already had an idea of the design I wanted, so I experimented until I reached the result I liked. After finishing the line art, I added the base colors to separate the different materials. The laces and the bow on the back are placed on separate clipped layers because they use different colors and materials, and the silver details, like the spikes, are separated as well. Next, I added shadows and highlights using both a soft round brush and harder shapes. For softer materials, like the silky ribbon used for the laces, I used a softer brush to create smoother transitions. For the boots, I use the lasso tool more often to create sharper shadows and highlights that better match the harder material. Finally, I unified the line art by changing its color to match the material it is describing while keeping it slightly darker. This helps the line art blend better with the rest of the rendering instead of looking like pure black outlines. And that's it! And now for the most fun part, character design. Shoes can help show a character's personality, their fashion sense, and their overall aesthetic. For this video, I created a lineup of characters with different styles to show how footwear choices can support the design. The first character has a Y2K inspired outfit with a denim skirt, dyed hair, and a pink belt. To match the style, I designed a pair of knee-high boots with belts and gathered details. The stronger silhouette and extra details help give her a more confident and bold look. The second character has a Lolita-inspired outfit with a very pink and decorative aesthetic. She has bows and ruffles throughout the design, so I wanted the shoes to match that same feeling. I gave her chunky pink heels with a bow on the back, and I positioned her pose so the bow and the back of the shoes would be visible. The next character is a male character wearing a blouse, baggy dress pants, and a necktie. Since most of the shoes are hidden by the pants, a simple boot or dress shoe is enough. The footwear supports the outfit without taking attention away from the rest of the design. The second male character has a casual streetwear style, and this is probably my favorite shoe design from the lineup. He wears an oversized shirt, cargo shorts, and large, chunky red sneakers. The shoes add a strong silhouette and a pop of color while fitting the proportions and relaxed style of the outfit. For the final character, I wanted to create a simple summer look with a corset-style top and jeans. Since the outfit already has a casual and light feeling, I chose simple flip-flops to keep the footwear relaxed and fitting with the overall design. This lineup shows how shoes can support a character's fashion, proportions, and personality. Even though they are only a small part of the overall design, they can add a lot of information about who the character is. With a basic understanding of how shoes are built, you can start creating many different types of footwear and adapt them to any character. Remember to use references. Think about the shoe as a 3D object just like the foot, and don't be afraid to experiment with different shapes and styles. Small design choices can make a big difference in showing a character's personality. If you want to check out the web tutorial, you can click the link in the description. Visit my Clip Studio Paint profile and check out more guides. And if it was of any help, drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and have fun designing.